Welcome back to Around the Table with Stacy Smith as we take a look at the economy and investing in. Kim, I saved this last question for you for our program today. There are large cap stocks, there are mid cap stocks, and there are also small cap stocks. Is one category better than the other as far as investing goes?
It depends. It depends on what the companies do. I'm a fundamental analyst. I look at each company that I invest in. I make sure I understand certain items about them, that their management has been around and says what they're going to do, and then they go do it mostly. That's big. I'm looking for a company that has enough money, and that's generally not borrowed too much or has great cash flow that can drive its plans forward. And then finally has really great products and a history of making great products and not only satisfying, but making their customers have customer delight. Those are kind of things that I look at. Whether that's a medium-sized company or a large company, I don't really care. I know they're going to be in business. Now, when you get into the small and then what we call penny stocks, and a penny stock is something that either it trades on a special exchange. They're called pink sheets, which that's just something, look up that term, pink sheet, or that they're below $5. Those are companies that are probably very, very risky. And unless you know something about either the product or the industry, I would completely stay away from those. And those are generally the ones that your brother-in-law will talk to you about.
What makes the delineation between a large cap and let's say a mid-sized cap? Is it how much money the company has or the value of its stock?
No. This is an excellent question. I just assume everybody's in my head and knows my industry, right? No, it's a great question. So what we're talking about is market capitalization. And at the very basic, that means the number of shares outstanding multiplied by the what the price of the stock is right now, and that gives you the value of the company. So a company like Apple, who has its market cap measured in trillions, that's about as big as you can get, is different than IBM, who is measured in the hundreds of billions. I think they are still there, all the way down to, we'll call a local company, it's called Coherent. I'm not telling you to buy it, I'm just talking about it, where it's a company that's probably around 6 billion right now, 6 to 8 billion. So that is a big, a medium, and a small cap company. And then if you get below $1 billion market capitalization, that's generally where I'm out, because funny things happen when companies have too small of a market cap. They're very volatile. People can, by accident, move the value of the company if they buy or sell in unwise ways. We'll just put it that way. They're not trying to manipulate it, but things happen. So I'm trying to download all of this stuff into you to say the market cap is important, and funny things happen both at the very top of that scale and at the bottom, but mostly you should look for just straight up good companies.
All right, let me ask you this question then, and that is, why have the mid and small cap stocks not done as well right now as opposed to the larger cap stocks? And anybody can answer that question.
I think Shana should answer that. Do you know Shana? You started it before.
I think you can take it, Kim.
Okay. Well, as Shana pointed out, the smaller company, or the S&P 500, is heavily weighted towards global companies that do business all around the world. The theory goes like this: the small and mid-cap companies are usually more local-based companies. But is that true? No, it is not. There are many smaller companies that have a global footprint, but by and large, those rules of thumb do apply, that smaller companies are generally doing less business globally, so they are more affected by a region's economy, and thus they kind of sell off in times like we're having right now, where there's a lot of uncertainty about, are we going into a recession or not?
I'll take that one step further too, Stacy. And I'm surprised Kim didn't bring this up. The best sector to invest in over the past 15 years, Kim, is technology.
Yes.
Tech stocks have absolutely been the best sector in the global markets over the past 15 years. The large cap stocks, we look at the S&P 500 as a pretty much the barometer for large cap, is 28% comprised of S&P or technology companies, whereas small and mid cap, I think the tech sector makes up only a fraction of that, call it half of that at best. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. And so when you have one sector that's dominated market performance over the past decade and a half, and that's the biggest component of the large cap indices, that's pretty much, I think, part and parcel for why you've seen large cap stocks dominate over the past decade plus.
When you're in the non-tech side of the market, I've always felt that small cap had some advantages because they are agile. And in an economy that's changing, and they're domestic, in an economy that's changing as ours is right now, outside of technology, that's a whole different animal. A small manufacturing company has the ability to flip a switch almost and change its focus on products and remain profitable. Whereas a big company's like turning the Queen Mary in the ocean. I mean, it just takes forever to make a change, to agree on making a change. There's so many people involved. And so I've always felt small cap over the long term is a decent place to go, but you must pay attention to the economy because it's going to be a more volatile ride.
All right.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So
Very quickly.
one real quick thing, the small cap company, if it's really high quality, could get bought by a larger company. And that is another thing to look out for, which is good.
Okay, good. Well, there's a lot more to discuss on how to manage your portfolio, and we'll do that in the upcoming session. So once again, I want to thank our analysts today, and that would be Kim and Frank and Michael and Shana for joining us. And I hope that you join us again for the next edition of Around the Table with Stacy Smith.